if you have some more time until retirement, or if you want to save some additional monies on a post-tax basis, then you can consider contributing to a Roth IRA. So tip number 3 is that if a Roth IRA is something you makes sense for you to contribute to, make sure you open a Roth IRA if you don't have one opened, and then also figure out what you're going to contribute into that, and then set that up to go into a monthly or semi-monthly basis, depending on how you want to set things up.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. Happy New Year. This is episode 131. I hope that you had a great holiday and that you and your family spent some great times together. You feel rested, rejuvenated, ready to tackle 2023. So this is a great time as we start the year to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success as you're planning your retirement. And I have 5 tips that I'd like to share with you as to how you can automate your retirement savings for this year. And, if you set this up right, this will keep you going for years beyond 2023 with just some minor tweaking. So the first tip is to make sure that you're automatically saving into your retirement plan. And chances are, if you work for a company, you've been there for a while, you're probably already contributing to their retirement plan, whether that be a 401k, a 403b, a 457, because most of these employers are offering you a match. So to take advantage of that, you're making that contribution. So if you're in the minority that's not doing that, maybe you were trying to pay off some debt or you had other priorities, make sure that you set that up for this year so that you can receive the maximum match for your company if they offer a match. So that would be the first thing. Second would be regarding that, just to look to make sure that you've adjusted the amount that you're putting in. So if you're trying to max out your plan and you hadn't been maxing it out, or maybe you had been in years past, just realize that the maximum increase this year on the 401k plan, you can now put $22,500 into the 401k if you're under 50. And then if you're over 50, you can make an additional $7,500 catch up, bringing your total contribution to $30,000. So this increased from last year. So definitely, if your goal has been to max out your retirement plan, 401k, 457, then look and make sure that you're putting in the maximums to adjust the percentage that's coming out of your paycheck. If you happen to work for the state of Connecticut and you work in a department that offers you access to both the 457 and 403b plan, and you want to put more into those plans, you should also look into doing that. Or if you're looking to put more, you can possibly do that. It's also a great time to review your investments. If you haven't reviewed your asset allocation, it's a good time to do it as we start the year. And, looking to make improvements such as changing your asset allocation or maybe improving the investment mix that you're using. If you're switching more towards lower cost index funds, that's a good thing to be looking at. So tip number 2 would be to set up a health savings account and contribute to it if you are eligible. If you are on a high deductible health plan, or maybe you've been switched to a high deductible health plan for the beginning of this year, make sure that you're contributing to the health savings account. This is one of the big benefits of setting up or switching over, I should say, to a high deductible plan is contributing to your health savings account. So for 2022, the maximum is $3,650. If you're an individual and if you're a family or you're married, you're considered a family plan, you can put in $7,300. And then if you're over 55, there's an additional $1,000 catch up. So I did mention 2022, you still have time to put that in. You have until the tax filing deadline to make that contribution. But as far as 2023, the limits increase slightly to $3,850 for single and $7,750 for a family plan. So by automating this, by figuring out, all right, how much are you going to contribute? If you're going to contribute the maximum, take $3,850 or $7,750, divide it by the number of times that you get paid, and make sure you're contributing to the plan. The only change you might need to make is if your employer is putting in a contribution in addition to your contribution, then you have to back out their contribution because that counts towards your maximum. So let's just say your employer is going to put in $1,000, then you need to reduce the amount you can contribute by $1,000. If you're over 55, you'd obviously have to factor that in as well. But by automating this, you stand a much better chance of actually saving this money, right? It's relatively easy if you're able to do this through your employer, if your employer offers an HSA account along with the high deductible plan, but maybe they don't. And in that case, then maybe you want to set up your own HSA, and that's where you also want to automate this. Automate it by having it come right out of your bank account, preferably have it come out of your check account. That's the best thing with the 401k is that the money is coming out. You don't really see it. It comes out on a pre-tax basis. The same thing can be true with the health savings account. So if you're somebody who's getting closer to retirement, probably those are going to make the most sense for you because you want to take pre-tax deductions. Most likely you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. If you have some more time until retirement, or if you want to save some additional monies on a post-tax basis, then you can consider contributing to a Roth IRA. So tip number 3 is that if a Roth IRA is something you makes sense for you to contribute to, make sure you open a Roth IRA if you don't have one opened, and then also figure out what you're going to contribute into that, and then set that up to go into a monthly or semi-monthly basis, depending on how you want to set things up. So if you're in 2023, the limit's gone up to $6,500 if you're under 50, and $7,500. That's the maximum that you can contribute. So depending upon how often you want to contribute, let's just say you were going to do the $7,500, you divide by 12, that would be your monthly contribution that you'd be making. So again, automating this, getting it going in. So that's the first step would be to open the account. Step 2 would be to automate it. But step 3 would be to make sure your money's getting invested. I see a number of people that have opened these accounts, but they don't actually invest it. Because unfortunately with a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, if you're going that route, there usually is an automation in the investing. So you can set that up once you make your initial purchase into, let's say you're going to use a mutual fund, you'd purchase the mutual fund, and then, you'd have, every mutual fund has different minimums and such, you'd have to figure that out. But you could then most likely automate the purchase so that if you had, let's say, $600 a month going into your Roth IRA, you could set up to purchase $600 of a mutual fund. That way the money's not sitting there. With a 401k, usually this is done for you. There's provisions that make sure the money just doesn't sit there. With the Roth IRA or traditional IRA, you really have to be more on top of that, or you can automate that. So make sure that you're getting that open and you're automating that. Tip number 4 is to set up a high yield savings account. And if you find that you have additional monies in your bank account, more than you need on a monthly basis to pay your bills, this is where you're keeping your emergency fund, whether checking your savings, check what the interest that your bank is offering you. Unfortunately, without even looking, I can tell you that it's probably almost zero. Most banks, that's the way they make money. They don't really pay you much interest. So you have to take matters into your own hands. You have a couple different options as far as what you can do with that to earn some more interest. One option would be to open a high yield savings account. And you can find out what's available to you by going to a website like bankrate.com. And on their homepage, usually you can click on high yield savings rates, and you can see what the rates are available from various, usually online banks. So that's one option. That would require you opening a separate account. And you could then either automate a certain amount of your paycheck. If you found that every month you had $500 left over, it was going into your savings rather than having it go into your bank account and just sit there, you could then have another transfer set up so that it goes over to your high yield savings account. That's one option. Another option is that if you want to combine an investment account and a savings account, you could also do that by opening up a brokerage account. There's a number of different online brokers you can use. 2 of the most popular ones that I use for clients, Fidelity and Charles Schwab. So you could open an online brokerage account, and because of interest rates being higher now, you can buy a money market fund within that account and get a very competitive yield. So with Charles Schwab, they have a number of money markets, but one of them that might make sense would be the Schwab Value Advantage Fund. And the symbol is SWVXX. And it's 7-day yield, which is what you'd want to look at with a money market fund, because these rates could change daily, but usually they don't change too much. But the 7-day yield is 4.27%. But that does come with an expense ratio, an annual cost of 0.34. So that 4.27% gets reduced by that 0.34%. But still, it's almost 4% interest that you're getting. So that is an option to either, if you have one of those accounts, buy that fund in there, or you could also open up an account. It's relatively easy to open an account with an online broker. The other nice thing with online brokers is that they don't really charge you any fees. You can buy mutual funds, ETFs for zero in most cases. They usually don't charge you anything to have the account open either. Fidelity, if you like Fidelity, their rate is a little bit less. So they also have a number of money market funds, but the one that I could find that the highest yielding currently is the Fidelity Government Money Market Fund, SPAXX is the symbol. And the 7-day yield as of 1/3/2023 is 3.86%. But it has a higher expense ratio than Charles Schwab's of 0.42. So that also reduces your yield to about like 3.4%. So those are a couple options that can help you to take, if you've got $20,000, $30,000, maybe even more, just sitting in your savings account, you're not using it, it's there for an emergency, consider moving it over to one of those accounts. And then again, if you have monthly savings left over, consider automating and having it to go in there. So tip number 5, as far as automation, would be to automate your payment on your debt. And low level debt would be things like credit cards, maybe not low level, it could be low balance, maybe it could be high interest rate, but making sure that you set up automated payments, because obviously credit cards have due dates. If you don't pay by your due date, you're paying late fees, you're paying interest, and you could set it up so that you automatically are paying off these bills each month. That would be a good idea. Maybe even automate as many of your bills as you can so you could avoid late fees. You're also saving time by having things automated using bill pay, so you're not having to, write checks, pay postage. Those are things that can save you time and money. But also automate the payment of any other debts you have. So if you're carrying a home equity line of credit, let's say, and that has a high interest rate, a lot of home equity line of credits do carry higher interest rates usually than mortgage balances. Make sure that you come up with a plan to pay that down. Maybe you figure out, all right, you can pay X amount per month and you can get that paid off within 3 or 4 years. We'll automate that payment, right? Set it up so that it's automatically paying that down. That way you're not forgetting to pay it and you've got a plan in place to get your debt knocked out. And this, you could do the same thing for your mortgage. Chances are you're already doing that for your mortgage. Most mortgage companies do require you to set up automated payments, or they'll maybe even give you a discount to do that. So I hope that this helps you to automate your life. Definitely automating your savings is going to go a long way towards getting you to reach your retirement goals. As I said earlier, it helps you to kind of forget about the money, because sometimes, when we have money in our pockets or in our accounts, we're more likely to spend it. But if before you're able to see it, the money's gone because it's being deposited and invested for you, it's going to maybe help you stay on track better. So I wish you a wonderful 2023. And if you have any listener questions, I look forward to continuing to address those this year. You can submit those questions by going to retirewithryan.com. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you next Wednesday. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.